Hey, welcome back! Happy Poetry Friday. We're talking today about A Slumber Did My Spirit Seal by Wordsworth. This short poem is part of Wordsworth's Lucy poems, which were first published in his second edition of Lyrical Ballads in 1800. They are 5 poems that all deal with the character Lucy, a young Englishwoman who the speaker in the poem loves, who has died. And there's lots of speculation over whether Lucy was a real person or just a figment of Wordsworth's imagination. Wordsworth never really talked very much about these poems. And although there's lots of scholarly speculation, there's no real consensus. So I, for my own part, tend to think of her more as a literary construct than a real person. She allows the speaker in the poem to explore longing and loss, and to reflect on this beautiful young woman who he may not have thought about deeply but loved, until after her passing gives him this sense of loss. And he meditates on the fact that perhaps he took her for granted during his life. And the poems range in their reflection on Lucy. The first, Strange Fits of Passion Have I Known, reflects on the love one has for one and then this sort of daydream about what if I lost this person. Whereas the rest of them seem sort of more retrospective, looking back at the loss of Lucy. She dwelt among untrodden ways, explores the fact that she was very unknown, she is very isolated, and yet she matters to the speaker of the poem. I traveled among unknown men is this idea of separation from her, and the idea of associating her with this sort of idyllic English cottage lifestyle. 3 years she grew in sun and shower is this poem in which the speaker and nature both sort of stake a claim on Lucy. Lucy is this beautiful young flower, and so nature decides to claim her and make her part of it by killing her and adding her to the natural world. And the poet feels her deep loss in that. But my personal favorite is A Slumber Did My Spirit Seal. This poem is very short, but it includes some excellent balance and tension all the way through. So let's look at it. A slumber did my spirit seal. I had no human fears. She seemed a thing that could not feel the touch of earthly years. No motion has she now, no force. She neither hears nor sees, rolled round in earth's diurnal course, with rocks and stones and trees. Throughout this entire poem, there is this lovely tension between motion and stillness. There is the slumber that the speaker's spirit feels. He's drowsy. He doesn't sense that things are about to change. And he takes for granted that his love will be there forever. She seemed a thing that could not feel the touch of earthly years. So he feels like she'll be there forever. I don't feel the fear of losing her. But on the other hand, there's the stillness of death. And so now she has no motion, no force in death. But at the same time that she has no motion and no force, there is a paradox that she is rolled round the earth by the turning of the earth, which reminds us of the idea of moving time. But all fixed things, the rocks, the stones, the trees, they also have this same kind of motion. It's the motion of moving forward in time while still being fixed in place. And that image creates this tension in the speaker's brain. He thought of her as a thing eternal. And she is, but not eternally alive and eternally present with him. Rather, by returning to nature in her death, she becomes part of the cycle of nature. There's also a tension in this poem between the idea of active and passive forces. The passivity of the speaker at the beginning of the poem. He loved Lucy, apparently, but did not pursue that love, did not act much upon that love, because she felt like she was a thing eternal. And so his passions towards her were very, very passive at the beginning of the poem. In the second half, Lucy has no force. She is no longer able to act upon the world, but is rather only acted upon by time. And so his passivity and sleep mirrors her passivity of death. Finally, there's the huge contrast by the way the first stanza ends and the second. At the end of the first stanza, he says, she doesn't seem like she feels the touch of earthly years. She feels eternal. And yet, at the end of the second stanza, that is all she experiences, is the constant turning of time and years. But she cannot feel it anymore because she is no longer alive. The poem also has a deep emotional effect upon the reader because it reminds us of what it means to lose someone and how we never fully understand loss until we experience it. If you like this poem, I also recommend the poem by Edna St. Vincent Millay, Childhood is a Kingdom Where Nobody Dies, which is another poem exploring what it means to grieve. Thanks for watching. You can click to subscribe or watch another video, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.